And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second edition of Trackside Live. Tyler Kuehl and Nate Dreyer, a couple of your commentators here at Berlin Raceway, getting ready and getting back into the swing of things. Nate, we had the lovely week off, and God bless it. I know the people at the Berlin Fair had their fun times with the 90-plus degree heat, but we got to, some of us who had the week off got to cool off. We'll get to your story in a second of your adventure there at Road America. But here to talk about a little bit about what's happened in the past and look to what is coming this weekend at Berlin Raceway. An exciting weekend, a jam-packed weekend. I don't even know how many cars we're going to have, but it's going to be over at probably in the hundreds. We're going to have a full property on Saturday night for the Berlin Birthday Bash, a fun night of racing, not just some of the local series, Nate, but we also have the Midwest Modifieds finally scheduled to make their debut here this season. It'll be an exciting night of racing for sure.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, we've been able. The cool thing is, we're going to have the Midwest Modified Tour here back in May, but because of that being our one rain out so far, the night they were going to be here, we're going to have their full collection of 38 plus modifieds on top of essentially a full show beyond that as well. This is one of our best days of the year. The super late models, the Sportsman, the 4-cylinders, and VOROA, along with the mods all. And actually, like I said, 38 mods, full collection. Otherwise, we've got the 75-lapper for the super lates at the end of the night. It's going to be packed, and this is, you get your money's worth at Berlin most weeks. I think this is the week you might get almost your most money's worth in terms of amount of racing action on a Saturday night.
We will break down the field that we're going to see, some of the big names we're going to see in the Modified Tour. We'll talk about the local series here as well as what to expect and what you can do also coming to the races. I will say, though, some housekeeping news. Obviously, it's been a couple weeks since we've had racing here, since we had ARCA Night, a very fun and successful night that was here for the track. But there was an email, Nate, that was sent out to the drivers for all divisions in regards to the tire barn as well as pit road. We'll hit the tire barn first. Effective immediately, the track is adjusting the tire barn process. They've heard some feedback from some drivers. So therefore, they'll become first come, first serve for all divisions once pit gates open on Saturday, unless otherwise specified, such as this coming weekend, which will be different because of the modifieds. But from now on, after paying for tires, 2 individuals per team will be allowed inside the barn itself. And, of course, in an effort to help continue to assist those divisions, scheduled to tech first will be designated left tire changer for the super late models and the right tire changer for the other 3 divisions. Teams are also welcome to use the tire machine closet closest to the door if they wish to mount their own tires. Just a reminder, though, also that baby powder must be inside each tire being mounted. Nate, you've been down on pit road during those times. Like, when the gates open and people go get their tires, usually we can go talk to people like Red and Marilyn and some of our friends down there for the tech team and our racing staff down here at Berlin. It's chaos.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't imagine being a driver, let alone just being us as commentators and fans.
Yeah, no, for sure is, and obviously that is all part of Berlin with taking feedback. And in particular, as you mentioned, this is going to be a little bit of a different weekend. So because there is such a large assortment, again, we're adding almost 40 extra haulers on top of a full show already, so therefore a few changes as well to where teams are going to be parking into that process as well.
Of course, we should probably mention, for those that maybe kind of forgot, was not the scheduled show to have the modifieds. We were supposed to have them back in May. So, unfortunately, we had a rain out. That kind of killed a lot of momentum for them because that was supposed to be a big 45-car weekend, I think we were counting. So, rain kind of nixed that. One thing mentioned before we go a little bit more into this email, we are on Facebook Live. So, if you are watching, you have a question for Nate or I, or if you want to let us know how bad we look or how bad we sound, feel free. We're all good. We got thick skin. One thing mentioned about these modifieds with the 45 cars. Pit stalls and parking stalls will not be used this Saturday for a local series. I know it's kind of a bummer, but unfortunately that's just how it's going to be with that many cars. So with 5 divisions on the property, a great night of racing, only use 1 pit stall per hauler per car. I know sometimes when we have later nights we're able to use multiple, but so please only use 1 pit stall. Gates will open early on Saturday at 1 o'clock, so that there may be parking as well. For Berlin divisions, the barn will not open until 2 o'clock. There will be an opportunity, though, for you to park your hauler in advance. 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock on Friday night, the gates will open. People can close at 7 o'clock. So you have to get here, get your hauler if you want to find a spot, or else you're going to be kind of looking like you're trying to park at a mall on a Saturday right before Christmas. You're going to be kind of stuck in SOL. So try to get here early if you can. There is a map, a part of the email. If you always ask the race officials here, send them an email if you want the map for the parking location. So it's going to be a crazy night, though. I'm excited for it because the modifieds, we're both open wheel fans. Obviously, modifieds, the stock car, are a little bit different from IndyCar or sprint cars and whatnot. But it's just exciting to have him out here. We had him for a series for many years, Nate, but with this many cars here, it's hard to not want to come out here, whether you be a driver or a fan especially.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you add on to that also in terms of the infield parking, and with what we were just mentioning, no personal vehicles are going to be allowed in the pit area on Saturday for any reason. So on top of that, that part of that email, but like you said, it's going to be packed. It's going to be a great show, and this is the Midwest Modified Tour is a great traveling series. They've put together a lot of really cool stuff, and again, they're able to carry 40 cars essentially to every single event they've been at. They ran at Toledo a couple weeks ago. This will be event number 2 of the season for this series. They put on a terrific show, some really big names. Look at Matt Dimmitt, back-to-back time, champion. We've seen Brian Bergaker, who won last year here at Berlin. He'll be entered, and of course, is always such a strong contender. We're going to see him, not to get ahead of ourselves, we'll see him in a week after this as well with the Outlaws and all the different cars that he's certainly run this year. But no, this is a very exciting night. It's a terrific night, by the way, to celebrate Berlin's 75th birthday, to have essentially everything local minus the limited late models and one of the Midwest's biggest in terms of numbers and racing action traveling series in town.
You mentioned Dimmitt. Of course, he finished second in that race in Toledo. The guy that won the race, though, Cody Stickler, he'll be here at Berlin Raceway too, and that's the format for that was interesting because when people hear 45 cars or almost 40 cars, they're thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to be a dumpster fire of a race, right? That many cars on the track. No, don't worry. The schedule is very simple. If you actually want to throw it up for the fans,
yeah.
We'll kind of touch in on a couple times here. As you see there on the left, the Midwest Mods, the qualifying will happen, single car qualifying. That'll start off our show. We'll see on Flow Racing around 6 o'clock, a little before that. The top 16 cars, the 16 fastest cars, go right to the A main qualifying there at the bottom left of your screen. A 75 lapper. That is going to be, the 50 lapper. That's going to be an exciting race to watch. The rest of the field will go into the last chance qualifier, last chance races, a couple of 12-lap races. The top 4 drivers from each race, no heat racing style where it's like fastest times. The top 4 from each of those races go to the A main race, which means there'll be a 24, if I can speak, Nate Dreyer. I took a week off. This is what happens.
I know.
24-car main event, and then the rest of the field, whoever makes it, will be going to that B main feature, a 20-lap race, which, given the talent that's coming into this race, Nate, it's still going to be, that B main might not be the main event for the big bucks. It's still going to be a good race, though.
No, it certainly is going to be a terrific race, like you said. So many big names. I mean, Monty Tolan, a guy that is local to Caledonia as well, that we've seen often, and different kinds of cars, runs an Outlaw as well. But the other thing is you can see the way that schedule lines up, how packed it's going to be. It is still a full night of racing for all of the local series. So still 2 features and then the 75-lapper at the end of the night for the super late models. So all of the local series still are going to get their absolutely full run-in. We'll have single-car qualifying still for the super late models as well. So really, we get 2 premier features to end the night, plus everyone else still running their full show.
We did a little bit of quick math before we started the program here today. Given that the fact that the VROAs do 2 heat races, we might have 265 laps of racing at Berlin Raceway. That only happens not even once, not even
right.
when we have the battle at Berlin. That's because we have something leading up to that. That's the only time we ever have that many laps here. So lots of cars, lots of action. With the modifieds too, with this only being their second race, and obviously some guys run local series, they run their own local tracks. It's not like they're going to be cold coming into this race, but not many of those guys run against 30 cars, 24 cars at a time. It's going to be interesting to see how they approach, because for the first time, unlike what we would have seen when we saw them back earlier this season when they got rained out, it is going to be a hot track. Not as hot as it was last weekend when we were tickling the triple digits over here in West Michigan. It's still going to be a hot track too, so even with the tires that they have, it's going to be slick, it's going to be fast, but it's going to be kind of sketchy in some spots, even though the sun will go down eventually.
Yeah, and one of the questions, like, to the super late model drivers that I'm probably going to ask down in pit road on Saturday is there's going to be such a gap in terms of the in-between. I mean, back to the schedule, the super lates are going to be on the track at 5:35, and then you're going to have all of this track progression. They're going to qualify heat of the day. You're going to have multiple different kinds of tires, a lot of different heat, then cooling down as the night goes on before they run that 75-lapper. The mods, a somewhat similar story as well. If you are able to avoid the last chance races and you run in that A feature, you're going to last beyond the track around 6 o'clock. Then you're going to see it almost 3 hours later. So completely different temperature, track conditions. Like I said, you're going to have a lot of track progression with different rubbers. It's going to be a really challenging night that I think is going to leave the teams guessing. I'm fascinated to watch how everyone gets things set up and, who's able to nail it.
It's almost like if because we've had it before where we've had like the sprint cars and the super lates at the same time. 2 different tires, 2 different cars, different oil getting slicked on the track, alcohol going on there. One thing mentioned about the super late models, forgot to mention this as well, they must have their tires scanned into inventory at least 1 hour prior to your scheduled tech time. So tech time is, what time is that usually at? I believe that's usually around like 1 o'clock, or it's usually early in the day, right? For
the super late tech is going to be 4:35
oh, right,
this
after
week.
the first
Yes,
practice.
yes.
Yep, that's right. So there is that news, the housekeeping news. Folks, remember, once again, here's the question of the day. We try to do this here once a week. We're speaking of the lovely hot weather. It's not too bad right now. It was raining all day, for goodness sakes, because my lawn needed it. About 80s right now, a little bit above 80s as the mini wedges are out there doing qualifying before their features. Tonight here on Wednesday night at Berlin Raceway, what is the hottest day you've ever had here at Berlin, or was not at Berlin Raceway, hottest day at a racetrack? We'll get to that answer a little bit later on. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, feel free to throw it in the comments and tell us what was the hottest day you were at a racetrack, whether it be Berlin, MIS. We've seen some hot days at MIS in August, when it's not raining, of course.
Yeah, right.
Well, who knows? Who would have thought? The time I don't go to MIS and cover a race, it gets ran on a Sunday.
That's how it always goes, isn't it?
What an amazing concept. Let's look, Nate, going over back to the local series here. You mentioned the super late models. They did get to run on ARCA night, so a couple of our drivers got to kind of show off their stuff in front of some of the big wigs, I guess, if you will, of the development series there for NASCAR. A guy that we were trying to get him on the show tonight, but unfortunately Stovall had a problem with his car last weekend. Dylan Stovall, first ever super late model win here at Berlin Raceway. You talk about I feel like I say young man all the time, even though I've probably known him for 4 or 5 years now. A guy that definitely deserves a victory. Dylan Stovall, a guy who's come so close so many times before. It was great to see him get in victory lane finally.
Yeah, and he's been running. I mean, it's been such a long time coming with how well he's been running all year long. That was his 3rd top 5 of the season. We've seen him right along with it, especially the first couple races of the year. That 24 car had some really great pace and just, fell short for whatever reason. So he's able to outlast everyone. Solid win there. He's run well in the Jags Tour races that he's been running as well. I think he had a 2nd place finish last time out. So he's been stacking some very good finishes, some very consistent finishes. He's up to 6th in points. How about how tight the super late points are? I mean, you think about last year, Brian Campbell had it essentially won
by the battle, probably.
Right. I mean, and all he had to do was start the last night of the year with double points, and he was champion. You have Brian is now leading because Austin Hull had kind of a tough night last time out, but he's only 11 back. Seneca's 24 back of them. Shy 30.
Who finished 3rd in that
Yes.
race behind Campbell and Stovall.
Yeah, I mean, Scheid right there. Tyler Lupton right there. I mean, you've got the top 6 guys all essentially within 41 points of each other, tight at the top. So this is as competitive of a season as we've ever seen. Of course, as we know, no one's won 2 races yet either. And, the big race went to Carson Hocevar, a guy traveling in. So, I mean, this is as good of a collection as we've had, and as I was mentioning a minute ago, going to be a little bit of a wild card race as well, and an interesting race on Saturday night for that reason. I think it's going to be a great finish to the night. After the mods put on their great show, the local stars of the super late models are going to have a show as well.
You're talking maybe honestly 6-hour difference between qualifying and the start of that 75-lap feature for the super late models. I know people that are NASCAR fans like, well, they just qualify Saturday and race Sunday. Well, yes, but for your typical Saturday night at a short track, that is a lot of time, and a lot of things can change because drivers, they like to look at their notebook, say, all right, here's how it felt in practice, here's how it felt in qualifying. Well, now 15 degrees cooler, no sun in your face coming off turn 2, all of a sudden your strategy has to change. So that's going to make things really interesting for sure.
No, it certainly is. And everyone else, as we mentioned, running as well. Sportsman and the 4-cylinders both on track. We saw one of our longer 4-cylinder races of the year. They had a kind of big single feature last time out. The Dave Simpson came in and won, ended the dominance of the Roloffs family, but especially Justin last time out. They continue to ramp up for that big race that they've got coming up at the end of August, a $2,000 to win race in that one as well. So, the 4-cylinders are putting on a show week after week. The racing in the Sportsman division, I'm just touching on a bunch of different points at once, but the racing they've put on every week with the amount of champions that are there has been some of the best that we have to offer.
I was unfortunate. We were for Money in the Bank night and for ARCA night. I was going to try to remember to get the numbers. Unfortunately, we just never were able to get the time to put it out there, but it's over 300 wins easily amongst all the drivers in that series. Right now, still, granted, the last time we talked, Sportsman's hadn't raced since then, but Josh Fry's still in the lead. Corey Ensing there in 2nd place, trying to keep it close there, but And it's funny. The last time we had our show, we talked to Josh Fry afterwards, and he's undecided right now whether he wants to run the full schedule because actually I'm not sure if we're able to mention what could be happening for him on July 5th. We'll keep that under wraps for now, but I like it because I know there's a 38-point difference in NSYNC, and but that can obviously change in one night. The point system here at Berlin Raceway, it's very favorable for those who are good in qualifying, but also for those that are good in the double features too. But Tillema's still there, Tomey's still there, and it's weird to say because we're in June and we're only about 2.5 months away from the season being over. There's still a lot of racing for that series, so I'm excited to see it because we've had so many different winners. Fry's obviously starting to take the lead on it, but it just seems like no matter what happens, no matter who wins, it's always great racing with that series. Close, tight racing, a little physical, but not enough to, well, sometimes not enough to lead things to blow over for sure.
Yeah, no, it has been absolutely terrific, and the good news is we get to see them also coming into future weeks. Don't want to look ahead too much here, but this upcoming schedule, really from now, I mean, the rest of the year in general, I think we talked about that on the last show a little bit, but for the most part, these next 3-4 weeks especially, some of our best in terms of traveling series, local mix of competition that we're going to have all year long, starting with the Midwest mods. The Reveal the Hammer Outlaws are going to be in for a huge July 4th weekend celebration, and then the weekend after that, the Great Lakes Classic with the Super Mods on track. So we can get through that, but it's going to get really fast in some of our biggest and best weekends of the year the next few weeks.
I'm really excited because for that July 5th, we don't have the super late models. They're taking the week off, but we mentioned the Outlaws. And for a 75-year anniversary, celebrating 75 years of racing, celebrating the Outlaws, having them 3 times this year. That'll be the second of 3 races on the 4th of July weekend. Seeing that series come out, those type of cars, the fastest kind of stock cars you're going to see on a short track, it's just fun to see because it's always great racing. They're bad fast. They're bad loud. There's just so much to like about them. And the fact of the matter is, you don't know who's going to win that race. You always have favorites. You have the Steve Needles. You have the Tyler Roarigs. You have the Brian Bergakers. You have the Bozels. But it's a coin flip every single time they come out. That's why I love seeing the Outlaw cars and even with our local series, but especially with them because something bad could happen to a leader with a few laps to go. Something could happen during qualifying. All of a sudden changes everything. It's just going into that race, even though you can see a guy who's leading the championship, you just don't know who's going to win. And that's what makes these Outlaw machines so fun to watch because they're entertaining racing-wise. Not like, I mean, IndyCar's fun to watch, but knowing that Alex Palou is going to win every week, it gets tiresome after a while.
Well, it'd be Kyle Kirkwood if Palou doesn't win.
You're right. Sorry, 2 guys win. But when it comes to Outlaws, I mean, yeah, you have 2 guys that are favored to win, but something could happen where all of a sudden Bryce Bozell might, up his grandfather and actually win a race here. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I do think you look at where the season's at, and it's been one of the years momentum-wise in a bunch of different cars that's been as good for Tyler Roarig as he has had in a few years. Of course, he won the race here back in May. He's off to a great start in the Outlaw. He won a Silver Crown race as well. He had some issues in the Silver Crown car at Worldwide Technology Raceway when they ran on the IndyCar weekend a couple weekends ago. And, he had kind of said in victory lane with me that they didn't put a ton of effort in that Outlaw car compared to the Silver Crown car throughout the offseason, but certainly he's off to a great start. I think Roarig's certainly the guy that probably comes in as the favorite to that race, but like you said, there is a depth of names that have dominated Outlaw racing for years that are going to be massively involved, and that's another packed night. Limited late models, sportsmen, 4 cylinders. The mini wedges return as well to
fireworks.
Fireworks. So a huge July 5th, 4th of July celebration, all, of course, with the Reveal of the Hammer Outlaws at the peak of things.
And funny, good for the fans that are coming out for that race, Sushi Roll is performing once again at Berlin Raceway, part of our post-race festivities that we have here just outside the left turn lounge here, I don't know, the fan paddock we can call it. That's a good way to look at it, right on the concourse here. So Sushi Roll, and of course we have another good musician coming out, Denny Middleton and Friends, this Saturday for the Midwest Modified Super Late Model Sportsman's 4 cylinders and the VROAs. You look at the 4 cylinders. I want to go back to that, Nate. Justin Roloffs had Dave Simpson ran this series full time. It's a different story, but right now Justin Roloffs is looking very similar to what we saw in 2023 from him, where he seemed like he was just not going to lose a race. And he's really dominated, and he's been consistent. And for a guy that's just a good driver, and unlike guys like the Holtzlanders and like other drivers that have found ways to go to different series, the Rolfs are just stuck with the 4 cylinders, and they've kind of mastered them. And not just Justin, his brother Chase, his cousins Cole and Case, track champions here in the past. For some reason, they just know how to take those mobiles, those little four-bangers, as some people like to call them, and find a way to be faster than everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, look at the top of the points. Justin, 506, leads all drivers. Chase, next, behind him, 30 points behind. It's 31 back then to Hunter Wiersma. So those two guys at the top of things are 61 points clear then, or 31 points clear of Chase, and then another 30 points clear of that. So those guys really are running in kind of their own stratosphere at the top in terms of the guys that have been full-time. They've both been dominant. Of course, Justin has stacked the wins. He's got 4 wins so far this year. Chase added in a win as well. So they both are off to a great start. But in particular, I mean, Justin Roloffs, that is, starting with 4 wins in 8 races, it's, like you said, this is as good as we've seen him look, and this is a guy that's, been a champion and been a guy that's won multiple races in a season.
I do like, though, you mentioned Hunter Wiersma. He gets his first ever win here at Berlin Raceway this season. Stephen LaRoche, who's in the top 10 in points, has had good runs. Blake Heidema, a guy that's typically been, he might get a few top 10 finishes, but after that, not much. But he's had some good runs this year. We're seeing newer faces, different drivers kind of show up to the front of the field that we haven't really seen in the past few years. So that is kind of what, for me, that's interesting because it kind of shows that drivers are learning the track a little bit and the field's gotten a little bit different. And I think, in a way, it almost makes it better. I know we'd probably maybe love to have 35 cars out there with those races, but I think right now, just seeing how some of those drivers that we usually aren't talking about them, long story short, on the Flow Racing broadcast, getting a chance to highlight them, I think, has been exciting to see so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, you go up and down. I look through my note sheet, and
I got my laptop over here. That's why I'm not just staring off into space over here when I look over here, folks. I have something to look at.
But I mean, you run through this, you will be hard pressed to find a full-time driver that hasn't put together a top 10, and then they all essentially have. Hasn't put together a top 5, and then almost all of them, or everyone that is a full-time driver essentially, has finished in the top 10 in races. So everyone certainly has had a chance in the Sportsman to run at, around the front, learn how to be there. And like you said, it's great, I think, going forward that you've got some of these guys that are learning how to be at the front. Eventually will turn into winners and champions.
Yes, absolutely, and that's why I think that's what makes that division. I know people think the 4 cylinders is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to our series, but we've seen how close they race. We had 3 photo finishes last year with the 4 cylinders. You don't want to miss them. I know people think, oh, these are the slowest cars. Hey, I'm not going to say what top series, the traveling series that came in here, but the 4 cylinders were pretty close to their lap times of a series that came just a few weeks ago here at Berlin Raceway.
You said that, I didn't.
I'm not saying which series it was, but it's going to be an exciting night. Lots of racing. Like I said, 265 laps because we don't go to overtime over here at Berlin Raceway. We race to the whatever number it is, unless we have to cut it early for some unknown reason. That's going to be a fun night of weekend. We mentioned there Denny Middleton and friends performing the big July 5th night, 4th of July night. It's always a fun night for the family to come out and see some fireworks and some great racing. And then you mentioned the Great Lakes Classic. 2 nights of the ISMA MSS Super Modifieds. And not just on top of that, we also have the Super Late Models running that weekend. That's going to be, I think, the kickstart of the prep for battle at Berlin. So I think we'll see maybe the Blake Rose maybe come back out, the Kyle Crumps come back out in the coming weeks. Sportsman, that'll be 3 weeks in a row for them running. They'll be running the Friday night show on July 11th. Limited Late Models and 4 cylinders will be running that Saturday night. But the Super Modifieds, for some reason, they just wow. And there's a reason why this is the 4th annual Great Lakes Classic. Because every time they show up to this track, they put on a show. Yes, we've had similar winners. Mike Ordway has seemingly found a way to win every single time, even though he's found a way to have something go wrong with his car and then win the next night. He's got a little bit lucky that way. Mike McVeigh, of course, winning last year. We'll get into a couple other names. But, Nate, there's something about Super Modifieds and open wheels in general when they come to Berlin are fun to watch. But the Super Mods just bring an extra element to this track and kind of highlight what makes Berlin so different from the short tracks around this country.
Yeah, this is we talk. It was one of my favorite, just the easiest question to ask as a pit reporter to traveling drivers is ask them what makes Berlin so tricky, so technical, and they'll all have a different answer. They'll all tell you a different corner that's the hardest. They'll all tell you a different element. And for the big block, the East Coast Super Modifieds, this is their only trip to this area, to this state here. They're running at Oswego this weekend. That will be the last time then before they all pack up and they're going to make the trip out here to Michigan. We've got, probably going to be close to 25, 22 confirmed now, a few more that we're expecting to be entering as well. So it's going to be a terrific collection of these big block modifieds. And again, if you've never gotten a chance to hear these things roar, to get your eyes burned by the methanol that's coming off of them and see the speed, there's a reason why this is one of our, if not our most popular weekend of the year, because these things are unique. They're loud, they're mean, they're fast, they're everything you could want in a race car. There's a reason why we got to run them 2 nights.
Yeah, because one night is not enough with these supermods, and people think, oh, it's an open wheel car. It's got a wing. What's the difference between that and a sprint car? Oh, it's got an Indy car kind of look to it on the bottom, but it's got a wing still. They just find a way to go faster. They're exciting to watch. Johnny Benson, of course, the legend himself, Johnny Benson Jr., has ran them many a time here at Berlin Raceway. There's just so much to like about them, and the fact that we get to see them 2 nights in a row is going to be great. Some of the names, Tyler and Dave Schulich will be racing for sure. We mentioned Mike Ordway, the Silver Bullet, I like to call. How does he not have a sponsorship with making sure there's not one behind us? I don't know if
we have another one right here.
Well, I just don't know if I can say the name of the beer company without getting Mark Zuckerberg mad at me. So you know what I'm talking about, folks. Silver.
We've got it on draft over there on the other side of the bar.
Yeah, but we can't. I don't know if we can say it.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why they lifted up that beer sign above us. But anyways, long story short, I love seeing Mike Ordway. Such a great guy, and whenever Mike wins, I love hearing what he says, because it's not just, oh, my car was fast, I got things to work, my team was great, but he also just loves coming to Berlin Raceway.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because for a long time we have had super modified show ups frequently, kind of off and on throughout the years to Berlin. But seeing them come out every year, the guys look forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell the drivers, they want to come out here. Mike McVetta, of course, is he's from Ohio and stuff, so it's not that far of a trek for him. But he still loves bringing a supermod out here because you can do so much with them. Unlike the sprints, they kind of have a base all right, you can't do this and that and whatever. You could put a couple pounds of whatever on some part of the car if you want to. Mike McVetta broke it down for me once. He puts just a random wing on the rear of his car because he can.
Mm-hmm.
But they love coming out to Berlin because the facilities, whether it be the racing itself, everyone speaks glowingly of it. And it's weird for me to say and for us to say because we've been coming to this track since we were kids. We're oh, what makes Berlin so special? We come out here every Saturday and watch the cars, and it's fun. But then you hear other guys from out of town say, oh, here's why. And it's kind of enlightening to know that people love this track for more than just the racing.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, for me, someone that's had the pleasure and the ability to travel around and to do some different other forms of traveling racing as well. There's a reason why I've gravitated back home so much, getting to work at this, because it truly is, in my opinion, the premier short track facility for fans, for teams, for owners that I've almost been to, probably in the country. I mean, it is that unique and terrific of a facility to get to be a part of.
And that's why whenever we have the big Super Late Model races, the Battle at Berlin coming up in August, we just had the Money in the Bank. That's why drivers like Bubba Pollard will come out, drivers from California, Florida, wherever. They'll come from far and wide, Canada, Oh gosh, who was the driver we've had from South Africa? It was in one of the sprint car series. Now it's gonna hurt my head. I'll look it up later. But we've had drivers come from overseas that are from overseas have raced here before. So lots of action with that coming up. And of course, after that, we have the 500 Sprint Car Tour. So another series that Tyler Rohr can win in, and then a couple big races leading up to the massive Tecton 250 Battle at Berlin on August 13th. So. Exciting night for sure. I forgot to mention on Saturday with the birthday bash, Nate, $2 hot dogs, $1 beers. It is going to be, with this many cars, good night to come out racing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be something else. And there are some people that we've talked to about it, and we were having our broadcast group chat with Matt McKenzie and Rick James and Ryan Pilon and stuff, and they were asking about it. And back before the days of yore, when you could bring your own alcohol and beer into the racetrack, those days got rowdy. And then they put the rule in that you have to buy your own beer. That hasn't stopped people, especially when it comes to $1 beer. It's going to be a fun night for sure this coming weekend. Like I mentioned, Denny Middleton and friends performing. We have to finish up here with our question of the day.
Oh, yes.
Michael Hacker. Hey, guys, how are you? Mike, I'm doing well. Nate, how are you?
I think I'm okay.
You're okay?
I think so. I think the stream worked. I was really concerned trying to produce it. We've added some features if you all couldn't tell.
Yeah, look, we got a bar here. It looks like the wall there that Brian Hammond likes to paint and everything. And Nate, but I should say this. I showed up to talk about racing. Nate did all of what you're seeing above us, below us, all this stuff.
So now if it doesn't work, now they all know.
Well,
Good work.
Well, don't worry. We open up the text line every Saturday night on Flow Racing, so whenever something happens, guess who gets texted?
Yeah, right, yeah.
So unfortunately, we put ourselves on the spot with that, as entertaining as that is. But so the question of the day, thanks, Mike, for chiming in there. And folks, the next Wednesday, we have our Trackside Live. If you want to jump in on the conversation, have questions for us, feel free to do so. Hottest day at a racetrack you've ever had. Nate, I'm going to give you two because you had one this past weekend, not here in West Michigan, though.
I think Sunday I was at Road America working that weekend with the Vintage Indy Series and with IndyCar. There is a strong chance that last Sunday at Road America was, I think, right up there. I was racking my brain. The only one I could think of more is, I don't know if it was 22 or 23. One of the years I worked the IndyCar race when they ran the downtown streets of Nashville, and that race used to be in July for some reason. Thankfully, they've moved it now to Labor Day weekend at least, and I'm pretty sure it was 100 degrees, and it was, if 200% humidity is possible, it was that. I also remember that year our like the Vintage Indy Series I worked for, we had like kind of old school kind of knit crew shirts that year.
Oh no.
It was not good. After that we made a discussion that we're moving to whatever Bell's clothing is, and we moved into that, the zip up shirts that other teams have.
Yeah.
But that was really bad. That had to have been it.
Because I have some friends that live in Nashville, and you got the river right there, so it's kind of, it's not like a lake that we have here, 10, 15 miles here from Berlin Raceway. We don't get the lake effect kind of humidity like that. But even though it's the South, it can get cold in Nashville, but not in the summer. There's no reprieve from it. The hottest day I think of, I'm trying to think because I've been to Kalamazoo but Kalamazoo, they've always ran nights. I remember one, I think it was either my first or second year here at Berlin. It was either 18 or 19. We were out we used to do autograph sessions on Facebook Live. Matt McKenzie and I were walking around. And you wear pants, so you might not feel this. I could feel on the back of my calves, not the sun, the heat from the track.
Oh.
It may have been 89, 90 degrees out. We were still fine to race, I guess. And I was down on pit road. I was wearing, of course, we have our nice kind of, I don't even know what to describe them, synthetic shirts at the time we had. We didn't have the flow racing shirts we do now, but we had these lighter shirts. They were good. They were kind of breezy, but on that day it did not matter.
No, yeah.
I've never felt heat come off of a floor or dirt surface in my life, and just being on the track, you could feel it. And I was talking to Austin Hall, who at that time was running Sportsman, so there's no ventilation or whatever. I just could not tell you. He's like, how are you going to survive tonight? I'm like, well, thank goodness we only have 20 laps at the time. Chris Moore jumps in. I wish you guys would do this more often and have drivers on. Chris, that is the plan for next week. Look at you getting ahead of the ball here. Like I said, we were going to have Dylan Stovall on this week, but he had car problems. And it's funny enough, Nate, these people that drive here every week, they have full-time jobs.
I know, isn't that crazy?
What a concept. No, he was unfortunate after work. He had to go home and fix the car up because he wants to be ready for this coming weekend, a busy weekend, like we said,
understandable,
at Berlin Raceway. So thank you, Chris, for jumping in here. That is the plan, to get more drivers on here because, yes, as great as we are at talking about nonsense for 40 minutes or so, you probably want to hear who you're going to watch here at Berlin Raceway. So that is the plan going forward here. We just kind of wanted to make sure everything worked out. And so far as we know, according to people actually watching this, it's going well, I think.
I think so.
We sound good in our ears, and it looks good on the stream here. I got it. So that's how I'm able to see Chris telling us that we need to get drivers on. So, Chris, how about this? Throw it in the comments who you would like to see, what driver you'd like to see, and we'll make it happen.
You're a pro, dude.
Well, listen. I've done this. We've done this long enough. You just listen. I also, having done podcasting myself and doing live radio, I can tell you and getting to know good friends of ours like Andy O'Reilly and Matt McKenzie, you find ways to just learn how to throw stuff in and intertwine them. I saw the like there. There you go. Like we said, folks, 6 o'clock. We'll be live on Flow Racing, 6:30 green flag. Be here early, though. Super late model qualifying at 5:35. After that, the Midwest Modifieds, 40, almost around maybe 40-plus cars driving for their qualifying session. So that'll be a fun night. And then the green flag, so many races. Midwest Modifieds, their two features, a 50 and a 50 A main and a 20 B main, as you see right there on your schedule. The Vintage Modifieds, we'll see how long it'll take Dave Sensiba to go from the back to the front. The
2 laps.
2 4-cylinder races. Hey, listen, say what you want. Yes, Sensiba has ran every week, but somehow, some way, the VROAs have done a really good job of having competitive racing all the way
sure.
around. Even though some guys have had some troubles, they have had some good nights of racing so far this year.
For sure. They've put on, actually, I think last week was the closest one. Prediction, This might be the week.
You think this is the
This
week?
might be the week.
Oh, boy. Nate Dreyer throwing it out there that Dave sends, but you ain't winning on Saturday. That's what he just said. So when that happens, you know who to find on pit road on Saturday night.
It's not good.
Nate Dreyer, Ryan Pilon will be down on pit road. Rick James will be up top with Matt McKenzie. It will be an exciting night of racing, guys. Be sure to join us on Flow Racing. If you cannot make it out here to Berlin Raceway yourself, still plenty of tickets available. And, of course, those $2 dogs and $1 beers. Can't say no to that. So, for that is it for this edition of Trackside Live. Thank you all very much for watching this edition of Trackside Live on Facebook Live. We'll be back next Wednesday to preview that massive night of racing on July 5th. And also maybe, like I said, like what Chris wants, maybe talk to a driver or two, see what their thoughts are going to a big night of racing. Tyler Kuehl for Nate Dreyer, thank you all so much, and we'll see you on Saturday at Berlin Raceway on Flow as well, being here. And then next week, Trackside Live on Facebook Live. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time.